mai agad Esjach lam Jimar Tashiv is Misha Cathal Murrow le Macharja Gail Conor Rafferty August Karen Green on Dracharaha. Then would you go Kanch Fin Kirsty Raha and Aaron and you August couple of Rodiala Comarlishan. Okay, Karja False good to see you.
Tron my Conor August Cathal.
Augustus Ian. Go to me August.
August Casca Honna Dave. Happy Easter to you.
Oh, he Casca. Shauna did. Yeah.
Dave, the two of us, yeah.
Gee, all right, okay.
Well, listen, Karen, we said last night that it was going to be, if I didn't see you before Easter, happy Easter, but I've seen you again, so
less than 12 hours later.
I know. I was hoping to get one or two people coming in, but nobody's come in yet. But listen, we talked last night, myself and Karen talked quite a lot about the stalking, harassment, domestic abuse type of thing, and the interesting thing was that cropped up last night on the Late Show. I don't know if anybody saw it. Did you see it? I know, Karen, you didn't see it, but Conor, did you see it?
No, I didn't see it yet, no.
RTE Late Show or Garage's Late Show?
RTE Late Show. Did you see it? That was very interesting. They were talking about a lot of things that me and Karen talked about, like the coercive control and the women's organisations and all the police involvement, the Garda involvement.
Specifically related to the coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah, because
exactly. We started off with that. Yeah,
there's been a big spike in complaints about it. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, we talked at length about it last night, and also about things like stalking. What was your feedback on that, Conor? I know you were reasonably positive.
I've watched so many videos since that. It was good to see you talking about local issues. It is an issue.
Local issues for local people.
Mm-hmm. I think it was just well handled, and nothing struck me that I had a burning desire to argue with you guys about.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to congratulate you for every time it's better and better. The sound is better this time.
Yeah.
Just keep working on the production stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just YouTubing from our bedrooms, or it's citizen journalism. It's not going to be perfect, and people don't expect it to be perfect, but we just do the best we can. And the main thing is, like, you guys know what you're talking about. You got good topics, and you got to focus. It's a real life focus, and
it's easier.
It's an antidote to a lot of the stuff you see, because you guys have talked to the public. You guys are public activists, so you're grounded in what the public know and care about. So many there's a proliferation of Irish YouTubers who call themselves on the new nationalist, new right, whatever you want to call it, dissident right, and they are just completely disconnected. Never spoke to a member of public in their life, and it's just theoretical claptrap. A lot of it. Sometimes they get lucky and they manage to hit on good ideas that the public will go for, but most of the time it's just like, just noodling, and they need to be testing their ideas with the public. Otherwise, they're just wasting each other's time. Whereas we are doing that. We're out there and we're consulting with the public, and this is the difference. This is the edge. It's going to, if you're talking about taking power, if you want to make your movement popular, you have to be in touch with the popular people. It's rather than sitting in your bedroom trying to second guess.
Populism, it is very popular. That's the problem.
And how does it become popular? You have to know what the people need and what the people are asking for, and what the people are capable of going for, and what's wacky and what's too far out from them. So you have to be grounded in conversation. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. No,
that's my feedback. It's a big thumbs up for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Karen, you met with one of the activists in Drogheda today. How'd you get on?
He was grand, but he's kind of shy with technology. Jared Duffy, yeah. I'm trying to kind of get him to Skype with me. So
I hope you weren't breaking the regulations, Karen. I mean, we are supposed to be taking it seriously.
Don't worry, we've got a cup of coffee and we had a walk. But to cut a long story short, he's kind of trying to bring him into technology. He's a bit like myself. He likes to kind of meet people. But if I got him... Sorry?
Is he a bit camera shy?
Yes, I think so. I'm not used to technology generally, like Skyping, live chats, what we do yesterday. So he would have looked at Conor and us on Thursday night. But I'm trying to draw him in slowly. We can't really force him to do a live chat because he wouldn't be ready. But unfortunately for him, he's not linked into internet at home. I'll try and get him to Skype me on his own. But when that'll happen, I don't know. He's a slow burn. Yeah. He's more interested in meeting people face to face, reading.
That's the opposite of what most people are. That's great.
But that's good that we're doing it. We're still continuing to keep the. Can you hear me there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're continuing to keep people to interact, which is good. I know it's very, very difficult, and we have to be careful about what we do. But at least we're doing that. I mean, you're on the ground down there. We got the news yesterday that we're in for another 3 weeks of prison. So
yeah.
I know you're looking forward to that, Karen.
No.
Our libertarian friend Karen. Yes.
Karen, you could be model prisoner now. Come on.
I don't fancy it. And I'm hearing something else today. I was downtown. I came back up. A friend of my family whose granddaughter was saying that the guards are now targeting my bus operator. Whether it's on the way home, I'm not sure. But I won't know till next week. But I'm not going to get hung up on the idea until it actually happens. I have a letter to back me up to be an essential worker. So I'm only in 1 day a week, so it shouldn't be a problem. So it wasn't a problem last week, so I'm not going to worry about it until it actually happens, if it does. I don't see why they should stop me. They're actually getting on the bus and seeing if you are an essential worker. So nothing I can do until they actually ask me. So wait and see.
Yeah, I mean. Okay, the reinfection rate is still above 1, so until they get it down below 1, they're going to tinker and they're going to push harder and harder and harder. Then when they get it down to about 0.4, 0.5, then they can start to relax it. But it's still the reinfection rate, this magic R figure. I know there's a lot of suspicion and skepticism about the figures. I accept them because, what else are you going to do? You just I'd say it's good to have a healthy skepticism of government figures, but that doesn't mean that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are good. We're not living in a 100% where everybody is completely bought and corrupt. There are good people working government. Look at Karen, for example. You've got a government job. You've got a government job. You wouldn't be throwing. You guys aren't throwing out fake figures just to suit the regime, are you? So there are a lot of good people working on government jobs, and there's a lot of honesty there. But so it's always good to look at everything with skepticism. But unless you see a good reason not to accept the figures, not just because you don't like them, I don't like those figures. That's that's not a convincing argument for me. So as far as I can see, often the figures released contradict or don't look the government look good, so we have to bear that in mind as well. So
are they including the German figures now? Because last night they weren't. They had a separate. Are they included in today's figure?
About some guy got on a live press conference got his figures wrong. And there was some questioning about that. Of course, everybody says, "There, I told you, they're lying about everything." That means they're lying about everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie, big fat lie. But I don't. I think it's. I've worked in government. I've worked as a freelancer in government departments, and I know there's good people working in government departments. Not everybody is involved in some great sort of concealment. So it's good to have a healthy skepticism, but I accept that. And there's not a lot of field experts who would be disagreeing with the fact that the R is hanging around about 1 at the moment, and it needs to come down further. We were chatting earlier. What we call about there were people sitting outside next door to you.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's been a wee bit of. I can see people
letting their hair down a bit.
Well, bending the rules slightly. You know, I mean, we're told strictly. We're told
breaking the fast.
Well,
breaking
yeah,
the fast.
well, I know it's Easter and all that, but we're told we're given specific guidelines, and people are trying to do it, and then there's people that are deliberately flight. There is an element of flouting around the edges. You know, I'm trying to sort of stick to it myself, but you know, it's a little bit. But I mean, it's not. They've gone now. I mean, you know, but there is a little bit of that. But listen, guys, I wanted to talk about. I mean, myself and Dahi had a very good conversation the other day. About
excellent, yes.
The EU and can Ireland be saved? Basically, was the question, and it's quite good to do a very punchy title because it does grab in the listeners, and that one's really streaking ahead of all my other videos in terms of listenership and readers and viewers. So I was wanting to just maybe do a bit of a follow up, like can Ireland be saved part 2, as it were, you know.
Nice.
And I was just saying, given that we all accept that the EU is not acting in Ireland's interests, how do you two feel about what would be a strategy? I mean, I know people in Ireland are very scared about going out on their own again, but there was discussion even Britain could be looking at some sort of an EFTA model where they went back to even an EEC type model, which is an economic.
What was that first term you used?
EFTA, the European Free Trade Agreement.
Yeah. Was that a precursor to the EEC?
Well, yeah. It was what it was all set up for, was for free trade and economic growth. When Ireland first joined, it was the EEC, same day as Britain, as I always make that point.
So, I mean, Britain's talking about going back to that with which other partners?
No, it's not. It was a question. Some people that are not wanting to leave a clean break are saying that we could maybe look at a free trade model as opposed to pulling out completely. It's maybe something that Ireland could look at, because I think Ireland's kind of has to follow the money a wee bit here. If we're economically tied to the UK, you know, if we don't want to leave full time or clean break with the EU, it might be a better seller. What do you think? Or what do you think to leave? Because it's not going to happen overnight. But what do you think?
I know it's not going to happen overnight, but the whole point of this party is to leave completely. And you said last night about New Zealand and how they controlled the situation. Yeah. They've only 1 death.
Exactly, yeah.
And they were very sufficient in dealing with closing the borders. We are an island. We should have been closing our borders. I don't want to go about that all the time, but if we had been out of the EU to close our borders in the first place, I mean, even England, who's out of the EU, is still suffering. So what are they doing wrong? They probably didn't close the borders quick enough either.
I've touched on. I was surprised at that. No, but I absolutely agree that we should leave. End of story. Like New Zealand, or like countries that aren't, given the example of New Zealand as well. But it's just going to be a difficult sell because there's so many people that are kind of in favour of the EU, and they just are they'll be so scared of taking that leap. You know, it's going to be difficult for us to get to a New Zealand situation.
Yes,
I understand.
Although that's what we would like, but what about an initial first step?
I guess you're asking.
Well, yes, the stepping stone. Sorry, go on, Conor.
Go on. Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's an economic question, isn't it? I mean, you're asking from an economic point of view, Cathal.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the free trade agreement. I mean, that's essentially what it was. The initial draft of the initial version of the EU was. Well, the EEC was all right. It was a free trade agreement. That on the face of it, was beneficial for everybody. But then the EEC's own bureaucracy started to go on a big power grab, and then rebranded itself as the European Union and started wanting to harmonize all laws, weights and measures and everything like that. And it sounded very plausible because it was, okay, this is going to make free trade even more efficient. But then at some point it flipped over from being about trade and making trade more efficient and started being about central sovereignty and federal creating a federation.
It was exactly that. I mean, I studied law and I studied 2 modules in European law, and apart from being incredibly complicated, probably the most complicated modules I studied, each treaty as they come along basically hollows out the sovereignty of each member state. So
Mm.
every single treaty that comes along puts more power into the hands of Brussels and Strasbourg or wherever else, and takes it more away from the member states, i.e., in Dublin or elsewhere. And that's okay for the biggie. That's okay for the Germanys and the Frances who are running the show. As somebody said at the our exit original meeting, it's become a Franco-German racket. But it's not so good for the Irelands and maybe the Italys and the Greeces and the smaller countries. They're basically just told what to do, so they're losing sovereignty completely. But France and Germany, they're actually consolidating control. So each treaty, basically, the raison d'etre of it is to take away power from member states, and a lot of them Ireland voted. Well, two of the major ones Ireland voted against, Lisbon,
Yeah.
and were forced to vote again, as we know. So.
Yeah.
No, I think the original thing that it was meant to be with the original countries, it would have been possibly fine if they had left it like that. But no, they were power hungry. They wanted to get more and more power, which they've got. And anybody that votes against or doesn't want it is just told to vote again.
And I guess what we all want the sovereignty, and we have to work out the economics along the way. I mean, we know the end game is to have strong native industries. Our primary industries, which have been decimated, like the agriculture and the fishing, and get those back up and strong, because they're running at like, the fisheries is running like a 20th of what it could be running at. Agriculture might be running at, it's well within its capacity as well. But how do we get there? That's the big issue. And I think what we all need to start doing, and this is one of my aims for this downtime, and was even before the lockdown started, I'd started studying economics, and I want to, and it's not, I don't imagine it's going to be easy, that the Irish government is going to make it easy to find this sort of information, but to get some sort of like graph or Excel spreadsheet or a bar chart of expenditure and where our income is, national income is coming from. And I've some idea, I remember I found bar charts that was that for, well, there's two things. There's the revenue and then GDP, which is different, which isn't government revenue, which is two very different things. But we need to start to become fluent in the figures and the terms.
Yes.
And I was thinking about having a Facebook group just informally set up for ourselves, like
that's very good idea.
Economic nationalism, and we could just like bang stuff in there, share it out, and start becoming really good, knowledgeable with the figures. I mean, we all know we're good now with the fishery figures, for example, but we don't know the other sectors, what the breakdown is, where the exports are coming from, what needs to happen. Then we could plan, we can start to plan out and tweak, and make proposals ourselves.
Well, I know.
Play with ideas about if we increase this sector, then we could afford if we lost free trade with certain countries, we might lose this. But how can we make that up again? What you lose in the hobby horses, you gaze, whatever that phrase is. Sorry.
Well, I know the majority of Ireland's trade is done with the UK, so there should, if there was going to talk about borders, the whole idea of this ridiculous backstop was going to put barriers between Ireland and GB. It was going to, the market between Ireland and Northern Ireland was small compared to the market between Ireland, both parts of Ireland, and GB. So that was just pure nonsense. If they want to have some sort of, what I think they should have done from the word go, Europe should just make an exception for the island of Ireland and give Ireland free trade with the EU and free trade with Britain. That would be a common sense. But see, they won't do that, because then other countries will say, "Oh well, can we not get that deal that Ireland's getting?" It will kind of cause the whole thing to unravel. That's why the EU don't want to do that. So, I mean, your man Barnier has been caught on record. They just used Ireland in the Brexit negotiations. They just used Ireland as a bargaining chip to avoid them letting Brexit happen. He says we will use Ireland under the guise of let's stand up for Ireland. No, they weren't. They were using Ireland for their own benefit, And then everybody was bought off and bluffed that they were helping Ireland. No, they're not. If they wanted to genuinely help Ireland, they would have respected the votes that Ireland gave in the two referenda. Anyway, you talk about fluency there, Conor. I want to talk about a bit about the Irish language again.
Oh,
I
he's
know,
upset.
I know you, Arash,
Thomas
yes.
Arasharish.
Conor, you've joined. Now, Conor, I showed you a very easy lesson number 1. How well did you get on
Yeah.
today? How well did you get on today?
I have to say, I mean, it's the easy
Conor,
lesson.
this is
But
first year stuff. This is Gia Ditch. It's Meredith.
yeah. Oh, you would have started at secondary school earlier, would you? Because you would have been 11.
Yeah, that's when I started. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's earlier than us, actually.
is it? I thought you
Yeah,
did
no,
it.
I mean, huh?
I thought you did it at grammar secondary yourselves. No,
No, we would have started at 12, 13.
right.
A little bit older.
So how do you
But
survive in the country when you don't speak the lingo?
I know you keep on saying that. That's the way it is, unfortunately. You live down here, you'll know. It's not easy. That's why I said get you to learn me, because unfortunately the culture of punishment instead of learning in Irish, unfortunately. So that's why you will not get people, and anyone I speak to, they don't think it's a need for it, even now. So, and the girls don't learn it when they're in Templemore. So it's a dying language overall, unless you're living in the west or the southwest or the northwest.
No, that's not the attitude.
Nonsense.
What's
Nonsense.
the-
Excuses. Stuff and nonsense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was learning in London. I had nobody to speak with in London. I was just battling away on Duolingo and finding stuff online.
Yeah.
I studied up till I was 15. Did my O level. She was my age. It was mind you, it was the last year of O levels.
Yeah, I was one of the last myself. Yeah.
Got my A and then just put it under. Sat on my
Very good.
laurels for years. got my wee A. Yeah.
Very good.
Uh,
I didn't do
Impressed.
the A level. I didn't do the A level.
sorry, that was the O level. That was the O level. I got an
O
A.
level, right?
Yeah.
I got a B in it actually, but I was it was one of my top subjects, and I
Tyrone.
Huh?
Up Tyrone.
Yeah.
What do you
Six room
expect?
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fly, cute. So yeah, then when I'd be back home, because I studied in Manchester, and I lived in England then for about 10 years, after my studies as well. But when I'd be back home, I'd be exposed to RTE and then TG Car, and I'd get all excited when when the first few days of being back, and I'd be sitting there with my dictionary and watching programs and trying to work things out. Well, then I'd have to get back into the rhythm of doing my college work or whatever, and then that would sort of fall by the wayside. So I'd get maybe about an average of 10 hours revamp in Irish every holiday. So it was probably just about taking over, whatever I was losing, I was putting back in again. Whatever I was losing with the years going by, I was like, keeping it ticking over. And then I decided, round about the Easter Rising time, with a lot of programs.
Yeah.
Go
Well, there
to-
is one on. There
That's
is
it.
one on.
Yeah.
No to foreign what?
Gaelic?
Oh,
That's it.
foreign rule.
How would you say that in Osgaelic?
Freaking hell.
Gan Rialtas.
Gan Realtas Aikendrach. Aikendrach. It's a tricky one, that actually. Foreign is Ichtranach.
Ichtranach.
Richtranach.
Gan Rialtas Echternach. Okay.
No, it's just we're trying to cajole Karen in, but we're both on the Duolingo. It's good fun. You can kind of keep up with it.
I was sitting on a bloody tube train in England doing my Duolingo, and people sometimes would complain, "Oh mate, what are you doing? Can you go somewhere else with that?" And I says, "Come on, it's not louder than somebody. Have you got some headphones?" I'd say it's not any louder than those people talking over there. So if it's annoying you, just go. I can see some seats down there. Okay, off you go. Yeah. So I would just like walk away. Then after that, I turned it down a wee bit. Duolingo is this annoying. I suppose that's louder than the voice. So it's about 3 times louder than the voice. So I suppose that maybe was what was annoying. But I was sitting on the tube working away on it, and there's
You
so
can
much
put it on
material.
silent though.
Yeah, but I want to hear the voice. I want to hear the spoken
Yeah,
bits.
the sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the spoken bits. Well, you just have to keep crack. I mean, this was last June, July, August. I got into it when I'd be sitting on the train, do a wee bit at home as well. I was working on French, more French than Irish at that stage, so I worked less. I was maybe doing 10, 15, trying to do 10, 15 minutes a day. But since when my parliamentary campaign finished in December, I said, bloody hell, I need to get this sorted out. I want to be fluent, which is B2 level, as soon as possible. So the Monday after my campaign, I went down to Dublin for the free speech rally. On the Monday, on the Saturday, came back up, got rid of the hangover. On the Monday, I went straight into the Cookstown Library and got a load of Irish books out. And so that was the middle of December, and I haven't looked back since. It's just been pretty much every day working away at it to some degree or other. Let's say 80% of the days I've done some. Let's say I've done some Irish. Sometimes I do like 4 hours, and it's getting, it's starting to come together. Some days I might do 20, 50, 10 or 15 minutes. Duolingo is fantastic. Just keep cracking away at it. Just you have to put the time in. You're not going to get it's not going to, like I said to you the other day, you have do a lot of reading and listening before you expect to be able to speak it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I said that. I did. You're right.
A child, like a human child, learning their first language there's actually 6 months. They're reading. They're listening for 6 months. They're listening and understanding for 6 months before they start speaking. So there is a lag between the
It subliminally comes in.
You're right.
Yeah, just punch the wall here.
Oh,
subliminally comes
cabin
in.
fever. Your cabin fever is rubbing off at me. Bang.
I know.
From one side to the other. Sorry, subliminally. Easy for you to say.
What thing?
It subliminally comes in. It seeps in learning. When you're reading stuff, you're only taking 10 to 20% of what you're actually reading, and you'll forget stuff. There's always words that you keep going back to, but you just have to do it. It's part of where we're going. Now, I want to move on. Just I'm not going to take too much time as a thing on, but we watched a video the other night, the stream with the Donegal guy with a couple of other guys. We thought it was very interesting. Do you want to talk a bit about that? About some guys.
Oh, Jim Dowson, is it?
Yeah.
That's
the name. Yeah. Some of their stuff was very interesting. I mean, they're doing a lot of help to some of the people around, some of the older people. It was in Monaghan and elsewhere. What strikes me is how, if you like, pro-Ireland they were. What do you take?
Very, yeah.
What's your take on that?
They seem to be clued into Irish politics and were predicting, the likes of what happened with National Party and that long before it actually happened. I know I was actually looking at one of the notes who was saying that in England they have 600,000 births 1 year, 350,000 were Muslim, and 250 were actually British-born white children. Yeah. And so that could be us. They're always ahead of us. Regarding multiculturalism, they're starting 1950s.
It's a mathematical. It's a mathematical certainty that we will go that way. It's like the Titanic sinking. It will happen. It's going to happen. We're not learning the lessons from Britain. That's the problem.
The unionist side of the house are much more awake and aware of demographic replacement. Than
very much so
the Northern Nationalist side would be, because the Northern Nationalist side are being hoodwinked and kept in the dark and told that the culprit is Britain, and that war is that's all over. I mean, the iconography, like the top people of Sinn Féin are openly embracing
globalism,
the rule and the British rule, and best friends with but the iconography and what's been pushed out, from the middle ranks down to the foot soldiers, down to they're not being updated. This is they're playing a fast one. That keeping keep stoking up that anti-English and anti-British. So the anti-English is unfair actually, because our enemy was never the English people. Our enemy was the British state, and the British state and British imperialism, and the English people are very different thing altogether. So there's a bit of but to come back to the unionist side of. Sorry, go on ahead, Carl. You want to
Griffin made a very good point, which I was surprised at. He says that there was no the British imperialism should never have been in Ireland at all. So, which is what we would say, but that kind of goes against what some of those unionist ones would say, you know. So it's interesting that he says that along with Dowson sitting there, you know. It would be interesting to get that point flashed out with them a bit. You know, is Dowson sort of saying that he's a unionist? He's not denying that he's a unionist, but would he be now saying that Ireland should be for the Irish, north and south, or what?
What I get from these guys is that they would countenance a union, a united Ireland, but not on Sinn Féin's terms, on something more akin to Wolf Tone, or something that respected their tradition and their culture. And I think there's no.
Sinn Féin are the biggest stumbling block to a United Ireland ever.
Yeah, that's true.
They're the stumbling block. They're the biggest. There'll never be United Ireland with Sinn Féin with that going on. You know, it's just that's the irony of it. And some people say the other irony is with the unionists. They've threatened the union even more than anybody else with their thing about Brexit. So it's a contradiction. Here we've got somebody else in.
Hey, Fed Ferrer.
We're just talking about.
I recognise Fed Ferrer.
We're just talking about.
Is around various chats. Makes good contributions.
Who's coming in?
You can see them over on the right-hand side there. You're on the phone, so you probably can't see the commentary.
Who is
it? On the
it?
phone, you're not on the computer.
No.
It's Fight for Era.
Yeah.
I can't hear the name.
Fight for Era.
See, that's
who is
interesting. There's a guy who's talking on the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an account who follows us. Yeah. How's it going, Fed Ferrer?
That seems to be.
I believe he or she is from Belfast, correct?
Who?
I think they might be from the north. This account.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm only saying that because they mentioned it on a previous stream. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember everybody.
That he said that. And it's also interesting. That they didn't used to say that. Some of the people in the nationalism within England didn't talk like that. So I would be interested to get that point fleshed out. But there are a lot of unionists that would not want anything to do with down south at all. So that point, we have a bit of work to do there yet. But it certainly is interesting to see some people that would describe themselves as proud Orange men like Dowson saying that they would countenance possibly in all Ireland.
Mm-hmm. And they're looking at they could do business with the likes of us in a way that they couldn't do business with Sinn Féin. Because we don't represent. We recognise that we don't carry that anti-Britishness, anti-Englishness with us. You know, we've been through the troubles. We've had to forgive a lot. We realise that there has to be an accommodation. It's not the people who are there now. You know, they've been there for 400 years, and the rights or wrongs of them their ancestors being put there. You know, that's not. Should the sins of the fathers be visited on the sons? Well, you know, 4, 6, 20 generations, whatever it is later. Especially, especially when they're willing to do business, willing to if they're willing to hold out the olive branch, then I think we should, we should.
Well, I mean,
we should go some way towards that. With a healthy skepticism, I'm not going to say we just throw everything, all our cards on the table.
The green, white, and gold flag encompasses both the traditions there. So, in truth, it is the perfect flag for the two main traditions in Ireland. So although it's been hijacked, the flag has been hijacked.
Yeah.
What Fight for Air says, unfortunately, not.
About the Angelica, about learning Irish, but speaking Irish.
Oh, right. Good.
Because you said Conas Atatu, which means how are you?
Can I just get some clarification that sentence? A friend of mine has daughters who's doing very well in Irish at school, and they're saying that Conas Atatu is only used for people you don't know, whereas I wouldn't use that to you, but there's another phrase that you'd use to people you know well. Is that right?
You could say Kajay Maratha too, but I think that either of them works all right. I used to actually learn Kajay Maratha too. I'll go back to my first year, book.
The one you showed me last night, yeah.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, the very third sentence I learned. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see the one you're talking about, but when I was at school, I only learned a Conas Atatu. That's it.
Yeah, well, either don't get too bogged down, Karen. Kajay Maratha works as well as Conas Atatu. And then Tame Gomai. What does that mean?
I'm well. I'm good.
Yeah, good. You're starting. You have a start there.
Can I just go back to Jim Dawson for a second? And he made a very valid point about, he used to go to the graveyards of men he knew that died for the Troubles. And he said he's tired of seeing young people hiding behind false names on Facebook. Yeah. And he's kind of saying, they've no, there's no fight anymore. What happened to Ireland that we've no...
I've made that point.
Balls, what's a better word?
I've made that point.
Sorry?
I've made that point 100 times, how we've gone from a country that 100 years ago took its country back to a country that's just within, and then we got a full republic in the 40s, and then within 25 years, you've handed it all back. Exactly, that's the point I made in the previous stream. Where has that gone? Why have we?
Yeah.
How have we become so liberal, so globalist?
And snowflake kind of generation.
Somebody said, is it because of the bromide in the tea or whatever, or the toothpaste, the fluoride in the water?
Fluoride,
yeah. Is that it?
Well, I don't know. I find that maybe people are too afraid because of social media, and say the job I do or the job you do, you're more exposed. If you put your views out there on something, it's more exposed through social media.
You guys are both in government jobs, and you guys are prepared to wear your colours on your sleeve. I mean,
to a certain degree, yeah, but still.
Yeah, okay, you don't have to go in and shout the odds out every day at the coffee break.
No.
But in fact, there's probably rules that would prevent you from doing that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not looking to, it creates an energy. It creates an energy for the movement that when people go unmasked, and it creates the opposite energy when people go by false names and don't go by the real names. It creates an energy of fear that infects other people. So the more of us that can get together and group around and get the solidarity from each other, from the fact that we're prepared to put, wear it on our sleeve, as it were. There's nothing.
Well, I know the rules in the north would be a bit stricter on that as regards down south. I know some of the people in the party down south couldn't even talk about it to their manager. They said they'd be sacked. Whereas all I had to do was just fill in a form, and sort of a conflict of interest type form, to say that I'm doing this. I'd let them know. But there was no flag.
Okay.
It's probably better protection, as you say, better protection in the north because of the process that we've gone through over this past 40 or 50 years, where there has had to be serious modifications made to the Northern Ireland state to accommodate the minority population, and that's a great thing. And that's
there's no doubt it is an unpopular opinion we're making. It's swimming against the tide of opinion within the nationalist community in Northern Ireland. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so if you're telling me that if I was running in your party, I'd have to declare it to the hospital.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
cover yourself for conflict of interests and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Which they wanted me to do that. The only reason I was looking at something on the screen one time, and my election face was in the whole computer screen had my election picture. The manager couldn't avoid it. I couldn't avoid it, so I had to come clean. I probably would
Oh
have said,
shit! Yeah.
Oh. Said to me, that's a good picture of you.
You outed yourself.
Yeah. I kind of.
You did it on purpose to just make life easier.
I was on my dinner break at the time.
Yeah. I find it very lonely because, in a sense, it's very hard because I've only 2 friends in the whole hospital that I can actually go and talk to. And I don't know what you feel about that, Cathal. I mean, do you find there's anyone in your area that you could have
there's 1 or 2 people that I have mentioned in the council, where I work. But generally speaking, no, I wouldn't tell people. No,
okay.
It's all kept officially. Well, they officially do know, but I mean, it's all kept amongst the general populace. They're very, very quiet, apart from a couple of close friends that I would chat to. And that's what we touched. Conor, you mentioned this the other night about fear and going into areas, canvassing in areas where you maybe know. It was probably a wee bit easier for me to canvass down in Drogheda because nobody really knew me there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas if I was to canvass, and I heard what you said, Karen, about in your own street even, but I mean, if I was to canvass in the north, you would be outing yourself. You're putting your political cards on the table. So you have to be careful about where you're going to go. But I wouldn't say it would be fear. It would be more possible embarrassment, just than you're letting people know exactly where you stand politically.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting a bit of that every now and again. Even when I was when we were running your campaign, even after, because I think what they thought would happen was the election's over now. What's all this about? They're probably thinking, oh, you're finished now, really. So trying to explain family, really.
Right,
they don't get the fact that you have to. There's more work to be done. More work. Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, at least we got a transfer from somebody in your family, didn't we?
Was it number 2 or 3? I can't remember. I think it's number 3 he gave you, I think.
That's okay. That's okay. If they stand again, they might put a 3rd candidate in, but I'm not as convinced as some people are that they're going to do so well the next time. They may.
Who?
Sinn Féin.
I
think they may lose back some of the votes they gain. What do you think?
It's a possibility because they're too quiet. I mean, if I was a voter for Sinn Féin, I'm not, but obviously, but I would be disappointed.
I'm not surprised they're quiet because the only criticism they could have is the same criticism we would have. If they go, because if they open their mouth, the people are going to expect them to criticize the government for not shutting the ports, for passenger traffic. Otherwise, what are they going to? What intelligent commentary can they give about the COVID-19, the regime's handling of the COVID-19 crisis? The only cogent criticism they can give is the same criticism we would give, which is that the government was hampered by open borders ideology and still hasn't prevented human traffic coming in. Obviously, when we say close the borders, I mean close the borders to human.
I understand.
As opposed to
passengers.
Human passengers.
Yeah, but why haven't they done that then? And why have they all gone back into the background?
It's against they would be put in a position that would, if they do say that, then they're going against their liberal globalist
their policy.
And their solidarity with the other party, social democratic parties across Europe, and their relationship with the British Labour Party, etc. So They can't open their mouth
Yeah,
because
it's
if they open
true.
their mouth, they're either going to have to lie and go along with it and say, "Oh, he played a blinder," right? Yeah. Or if they criticize, then the only valid, intelligent criticism they can give is a nationalist criticism, which would go against their stated policy. So I'm not surprised they're keeping their mouth shut. I haven't really thought about it till now, actually, but that's yeah, that's my take on it. By the way, Cal, why don't you give Fight for Air your email address, and then you guys can get in contact. Cal, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to do.
This is the one thing about YouTube. It's difficult to get in personal. There's no PMs, which is a shame. You have to.
How do I?
If you go into live comments, if you're prepared to put your email address up, your Irish Freedom email address, for example, I have no problem doing that. I put it up all the time, and I haven't been. A few people have got hold of my number, and I've had a few funny phone calls, but sure, it doesn't. If it was a phone call, if there's a number I don't recognize it, I take it. I make sure I just take. I'm prepared for it. Could be anything. Somebody called me up and just played some Chinese to me the other day. Couldn't figure out, was that meant to like intimidate me or whatever? I don't know. Didn't really work.
But there's my email address up there now.
Hit enter. It hasn't gone through yet. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
No,
well, you need to draw that.
Draw.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually given my email address on streams that I've been doing, and people.
See that?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's gone out. That's gone out. Yeah, that's gone out onto the live stream, onto YouTube. So, Fight for Air, please get in touch with Cathal that way, so you guys can get something going up in Belfast. Well, there is a network for sure. There's Belfast Patriots, about 20, 30 people in that, and there's another 10, 20 people that we would know from across all the new nationalists.
You see the method. You see the messages there. Is it only us that can see them?
I can see them now.
No,
it
says live comments. It says live comments. So those are going out on the live stream. Yeah, Fight for Air has just said he or she's gonna email you afterwards. That's cool. That's great. So that worked. Yeah, those are going out on the live comments are going out on the live stream, and then this little private chat is just for us to talk among ourselves, call each other bollocks and stuff like that.
I can't get into the other ones.
Not bollocks. Well, I'm just going to keep calling you an Armagh bollocks, then you can't type back to me. Armagh City.
Do you see that there?
Clonchahara, yeah, that's come through.
Hey.
Oh, the private chat, yeah, the private chat has come through, yeah.
I can't see it, can I?
But you have to. You're probably on the phone. You've got less power.
Okay.
I need a new computer. My keyboard stopped. Certain characters don't work anymore, and the enter doesn't work. So really need a new computer. And Argos is closed, so I'm going to have to work out one somewhere.
Do I have to? You see the comments that are in the. You see the comments there. It says show. Hit show. Do I have to hit show for them to be seen on the screen?
Oh, show puts them up as a banner. Show puts them up as a banner. Yeah, like that one, Drogheda Irish Patriots with your email address on it.
They still can be seen if they're on that screen. Yeah.
Yeah. They can be seen in the live chat, but the show just moves them across onto the actual video.
Right. Okay. So
puts them in the banner just underneath us. So play around with it. Try one of those. Show another one. Show Fight for Air's response to you, for example. The one below that.
He said he's gonna email us. So that's
yeah, but put that one up on the screen just as a practice.
Which one? That one?
That doesn't matter. Okay, you know how to do it anyway. You can.
Right, guys. That was a good enough chat.
This is going to be practice, yeah. Hopefully, this is your first time using StreamYard, isn't it, Cal? As a host. Well done, man. Yeah, great stuff. It's great. Good year.
The host of the post.
It's a fantastic piece of. God, I was trying to use Gaelic word. I can't remember it. Aquini.
Or Eulus. Ceviche or Eulus.
Ceviche or Eulus.
Or Eulus. Harbar.
Harbar.
Yeah.
Shin Harbar. Tashi
Or
Harbar.
Ceviche
Harbar.
or Eulus.
Cool. Cool. Elev. Cool. Akwani. Cool.
Conor, did you put up the Thursday Night Live chat on?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
No, it's gone up. It's gone up. Yeah. It took a long time to go up. I had at 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, as you do when you put up a stream, and went looking for it and couldn't find it. And then I got all depressed and was started punching the mattress. The fuckers have taken me down. Is it? Is it the left? Is it the left? Is it my own enemies, my own haters from from stabbing me back from my own side? They've reported it. It's taken down. Punching the pillow and everything, and then I fell asleep again. Cried myself to sleep, and then at 8 o'clock in the morning, it was there.
But where was it? Where is it?
It takes a while to process sometimes, and I'll send you a link. Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to share it with somebody because there's a guy in Kildare I'm talking to.
Really good. It got a really good hit rate of. At one stage, it was like 33% of people who had seen it liked it, which is pretty.
Right.
I've never had that hit rate. So it was doing well. I think
is that the one at the end? Is that the one that DT?
That's the last one.
That one?
No, I'm talking about the one on Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah. Thursday was much better because everybody was relaxed. It was like we all know each other. There was a good banter, a good buzz. With the DT one, I was uncomfortable. I was tired. He was like rabbiting on about stuff like. I was telling. He's very intense, and to try and keep up with what he's talking about is very like. What would you call unique viewpoints, which when you sit down and actually go analyze them, okay, yes, that's fair enough. Yeah, I nearly agree with you on a lot of things, and then trying to keep an eye on the live chat and everything. But again, because he's not in touch with people, that's just his ideas. It hasn't been tested he hasn't tested those ideas on the doorstep. Yeah. So I'd rather talk to people who are practical people who know who have at least tested the ideas on the doorstep and know that at the end of the day, the doorstep is where we're going to have to be successful. No matter you might have to like calm down some of your more minority viewpoints, or because if it's not going to be successful on the doorstep, then there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to go on a one-man or one-woman band to evangelize everybody about your ideas, it has to be something that the common man and common woman can see them. Can get the arguments quickly and easily. Like for example, replacement. Demographic replacement. They can see. A lot of people can see that, and also the impact of the impact of mass immigration. Oh, so there's the cultural side of demographic replacement, and most nationalists don't want that. And then there's the some people that are affected economically by mass immigration, especially around the major centres of population, and where the mass immigration is stronger. They will have like that's where the housing crisis is coming from. That's where the trolley crisis. The things that are the things that they're hearing about and the things that they're complaining about, to see the manifestations, the on the ground manifestations of it that are now, and nobody is allowed to join up the dots, and the papers and the RTA will never countenance anybody saying what the real reason for that is, which we know is mass immigration. I mean, it's not the only reason, but it's a major factor. It's a major factor.
Yeah. I've made that point a number of times about the immigration, but we'll have to put it in the context that we have a housing crisis as well. But the real truth is we have a housing problem because we have an immigration crisis.
Yeah, one hits off the other.
Yeah, I mean, but when you put it into the proper context, that gives meaning to the issue. Guys, I'm going to think about wrapping this one up now. An hour. Guramila Mayagav, August, is good to see.
It's a test run, isn't it?
It went live.
Well, no, it went live.
Oh, it's all right. Okay.
That's why I said, please don't swear.
I didn't swear. I promise.
Yeah. Conor, you nearly did, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. No.
You bugger, you. Right.
To be reliable.
Okay, guys. Costco Hana Dave reached August.
Hush on a ditch, yeah, me too.
Okay, man.
Costco Hana Ditch, Karen.
Slán go fáil.
Okay.
Slán go fáil.
Song of Foil. Okay, bye. Good night.
Slán agah.
Ram Ella. I just take myself out like that. Ciao. Slán.